Never, in your wildest imagination, when you become a mother, do you foresee yourself speaking at your daughter's funeral. When they are dressing up as Disney princesses, you envision what their wedding might look like if they'll become a mother, a career-minded powerhouse, or perhaps both. At some point on the journey of parenthood, we switched from hoping Juliana would finish college to accepting the fact we just wanted to see her well and content in her circumstances. When it became evident our search far and wide had not resulted in better health, but only worsening decline, we acknowledged the situation for what it was and went about building her own space in our backyard. Our goal was to give her as much independence as possible while keeping her safe, or so we had hoped. But instead of focusing today on her numerous struggles, we want to focus on the beautiful person she was and share with you what a devastating loss her life being cut far too short is. My dear, sweet Juliana, if you could have seen yourself through my eyes, you would have seen the chunkiest little lamb chop on day one at 9 pounds. You came into this world with 3 pushes, barely waiting for the doctor to get into the room, and had me believing, in the moment, I wanted 4 more. You were almost always content and self-soothed, never needing to be rocked to sleep, but preferred going straight to your crib. You taught me from toddlerhood to accept physical touch, giving the best hugs and always leaning against our bodies, at times feeling like an appendage. How I would give all I own to experience this connection with you again. Early on, you realized you were an old soul, preferring the company and conversation of adults over your peers, but also always eager to follow your big sister and her friends. I'm looking at you, say Rose. In participating in whatever mischief they concocted. Even sharing with me in recent years, you were pretty sure you broke your toe on one of those adventures, and that it had been crooked ever since. You rarely complained of discomfort or pain. If you could have seen yourself through my eyes, you would have seen the most bubbly, joyful little girl, almost always found with the cheesiest smile or funny faces in pictures. Those cheeks, those edible, I made this word up, scrumdiddlyumptious cheeks. You were awarded the character trait of joyfulness 4 years in elementary school. But you were more than just a joy spreader. You were crazy smart and gifted in music and art. I believe you had perfect pitch. This gift made it hard to have a car sing-along because you were always complaining about how pitchy I sang. As you developed into a young lady, your love of knowledge and reading about other cultures developed. You took German when most others were taking Spanish. You loved Asian cultures, including cuisine, music, literature, and customs. Although you played the clarinet in band, you also taught yourself how to play the oboe. It was after 9th grade band your first physical issue would surface, even though it wouldn't be officially diagnosed until almost a decade later. You enjoyed being in the band group so much, the director made a position for you which didn't require summer band camp or marching. This is about the age in which you started to show signs of depression and anxiety. Your once bubbly demeanor trending more toward melancholy and introspection. You expressed silent empathy better than anyone I know. You were comfortable with the tension of silence and just being with someone in pain, whether it be physical or emotional. You didn't see it, but people were drawn to you. Just a few weeks ago, you engaged in a conversation with a patient in the waiting room at the chiropractor's office, more than just idle chit-chat. You always sounded so intelligent and clear in your communication, but you believed the opposite. You taught me to read Amazon reviews, not to trust the AI pictures, but to scroll down to where people had posted actual pictures of the purchased products. It would infuriate me when you would refuse to decide on an item because it had less than 500 5-star reviews. We'd have to keep on looking until we found something near perfect. I've read a few reviews since you've been gone, and I smile and think, Juliana taught me that. I see you in other ways too. Steeping a cup of hot tea, wishing you were here to do it for me. You always made the most perfect cup of tea. Ordering a smoothie, and your smoothie of choice popping up in my favorites. I even see you at my work as I dispense herbs, ones you took faithfully that did more for managing your symptoms than Western meds ever did. My Facebook and Instagram feeds are full of links to studies and remedies for the many things which plagued you. I open the bathroom supply closet where we keep supplements and other health and beauty items, and I see all the inventory notes you wrote by hand, detailed by shelf, and taped to the inside of the door. An effort to prevent me from buying more things we already had. I doubt I'll ever be able to take them down. I see you everywhere. Your interest in hobbies changed over the years, but one thing remained constant, your love for cats. It didn't matter what breed, what color, what personality, you loved them all. But your heart was most dedicated to seeing your cats others had left behind. When it became evident caring for Miso was more than you could mentally handle, it broke my heart to rehome him. I felt like I had taken away your best friend, because I had. If you could see yourself through my eyes, you would have seen a brilliant mind capable of understanding concepts some doctors didn't even understand. You enjoyed studying our genetic testing results and would then try to explain them to me. I have no idea what a slow Conti gene expression means or what alleles are dominant or recessive, but you did. I would tell you how intelligent you were, and you'd scoff and say, "You're my mom, you're biased." You went armed to appointments with documents and studies and were sadly accused by the establishment of being malingering or over-reporting. You just wanted answers. You just wanted help. You just wanted to be heard and to be fixed. You spent every ounce of energy every day just trying to survive. I see you, baby girl. You gave it your all. We gave it our all. It just wasn't enough. Barring a miracle, it would have never been enough. Our sweet Jules. You were indeed a rare jewel who didn't know their worth. I hope now you realize just how loved you are. I will love you until my last breath, until we meet again.
With both my girls, I always tried to create special moments, little pieces of time that belonged just to us. With Jules, we had our own traditions, our own routines, and the things that only the two of us ever did together. As she grew older, we would look back on those times and smile. But now they have become treasures I hold even closer, reminders of the joy we shared. One of our favorite things to do was to go to the movies, but not just any movies. Jules loved the big ones, the blockbusters, and she made them feel like a very big event. We would talk all week about what was coming out, looking at the showtimes, deciding where we would eat. It gave her something to look forward to, and honestly, it gave me something to look forward to as well. On opening night, without fail, we were there. First showing, center section, middle seats, her preferred spots. And yes, we may have smuggled in contraband Sprite and some good chocolates in her purse. That was part of the ritual too. And, for the record, she was Marvel all the way. She tolerated DC only because she knew I liked them, and that was Jules. Those movie nights were more than just outings. They were our time to laugh and talk, to be together without the world intruding. And now, I'll just carry those memories with me forever. Jules had a second passion that lit her up as much as the movies did, and that was concerts. She wanted to experience as many as she possibly could, and above all, she had one dream. She wanted to be in the mosh pit at least once. And like any dad, I did everything I could to help her chase that joy. And we drove wherever we needed to, sometimes as far as Columbus, Ohio, just to see the band she loved the most. Together, we made it to 8 21 Pilots concerts. 8. Each one its own adventure, and Jules planned every detail with such excitement. The seats, the parking, where we would eat, the route we would take. In the days leading up to the show, we'd pull together the latest set list, and I'm sure all of you have done that too. And we'd play it in the car as loud as we could on the drive there and on the way home. And those car rides were moments that I'll always hold close. Just the two of us singing, laughing, and recalling all of the events of the concerts we had seen. And one of the things about Jules that always amazed me was how she made friends anywhere she went. It didn't matter the city or the crowd, and she would find someone, start talking, and suddenly it's like they had known each other for years. And that just was who she was. Open, warm, and unafraid. In November of 2021, she finally made it to the mosh pit. It was at the Coca-Cola Roxy in Atlanta. And she got close to the stage, right where she had always dreamed of being. And I got to watch her jump and smile and live fully in that moment for almost 4 hours. That joy on her face is something I will carry with me forever. Seeing her that happy was one of the greatest gifts I've received. She even went to a few concerts on her own, with my approval, of course, but I still happily drove her there and back just to make sure she was safe. And even then, she planned everything with her usual precision. My role was simply to be there, to listen to our music together, and to share in the excitement she felt. Those concerts, the drives, the moments, they weren't just events. They were pieces of her heart that she shared with me. And those are memories that I'll hold on to. Jules loved cats, if you haven't already figured that out. And her love of them wasn't limited to the ones in her own home. She had a heart big enough for every cat she met. She would stop by the local pet stores just to check on the cats that were up for adoption. And it wasn't long before Juliana struck up a connection with a local rescue that placed their cats at PetSmart. And before I knew it, we had become the Sunday volunteers, showing up every week to clean cages, feed the cats, and make sure everyone felt cared for. But in reality, I was the muscle, and Juliana was the heart. She'd kneel beside each cage, speaking softly to them, comforting the timid ones, and celebrating the playful ones. And of course, she couldn't help but chat with the customers. She would tell them about the breeds, their personalities, who might be a perfect match. Almost like the world's most enthusiastic cat saleswoman. She had a way of making people feel seen, and she did the same for those cats. We never missed a single Sunday for over 4 years. In the last few years, concerts weren't really an option anymore, and even the movies stopped feeling like the big blockbusters they used to be. But Jules and I never let that stop us from finding ways to enjoy our time together. Instead, we had to create new traditions, quiet ones, simple ones, but no less meaningful. Instead of going to concerts, we would fire up the old playlist while I was taking her to all of her appointments and talking about the upcoming 21 Pilots album and what songs they would play at a concert. And when it came to movies, we had said instead of going to the movies, we would wait for the blockbusters to finally show up on digital. Whether they were hits or not, more than likely recently they're flops. We made our own movie nights at home. Now think about the plot, right? Aquaman, Captain America Brave New World, Fantastic Four. I can go on. All the titles we used to joke about. We'd sit together, we'd watch them. We'd laugh about the parts that didn't make any sense, or talk about the scenes that reminded us of the old days when we'd be in the theater on opening night. Those digital movie nights weren't about the movies themselves. They were about us still finding a way to connect, still holding on to our time together, even when life had changed. They were quieter than our old traditions, but in some ways, even more precious, because they were ours. As Amy mentioned, one of the last big projects we took on together was building her own space. Somewhere she could have independence while still staying close to us. And Jules had a clear vision for it. She picked out every piece of furniture herself, studying reviews like she was conducting an investigation. She pointed out which reviews were obviously fake and which ones were trustworthy. And she always made sure we understood the difference before she made her decision. And it took her forever. But when the cottage was finally finished, we spent 3 weekends, hours, putting everything together. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was time I treasured. She would sit beside me carefully reading the instructions, step by step, handing me the screws and the pieces in order. And even though she never said it out loud, I knew she didn't entirely trust me to get it right the first time. But that was Juliana. Thorough, precise, and organized. Those weekends were simple, but they were filled with laughter, quiet conversations, and a sense of teamwork that felt so natural with her. We weren't just building furniture, we were building a space she could call her own, a place that gave her independence while not being too far away for us to be there to help. And now, those memories, those ordinary, wonderful moments mean more to me now.
I'm going to go off script for a second. This guy doesn't like attention. But I just have to acknowledge in front of you all today that there is no better dad than this man. We've been to hell and back. I'm not going to lie. And he did everything possible to give Jules life and to give me life. And I just want to say thank you. As Russell said, we did what we could to create shared experiences with Jules, and one way was through music. All 3 of us liked older Coldplay songs. They were a group we could listen to in the car or while in the kitchen together. We all resonated with the message of this song before her death, but even more so now. In a lousy attempt to anesthetize myself to the lyrics before playing it today, I've listened to it at least 30 times in the last week. I do not think it worked.